Pay attention. He is going to speak to you. Something that has been kept hidden for too long is about to come to light. No beating around the bush, no turning back. It's now. And you need to listen, not just with your ears, but with everything you are. This is not just any conversation, it's a turning point. And it's going to affect you. The truth he is going to tell you may not be comfortable. It could hurt, it could shock, or it could open your eyes in a way you never expected. It doesn't matter what you think you know about him or about this story. This goes beyond that. It hits right at that part of you that you try to ignore, that you try to avoid. But to listen, you need to be truly present. No barriers, no ready-made answers. He trusts you for this. It's no coincidence. You were chosen to receive something he has kept only for himself. This says a lot about what he feels, what he hopes for. And now the question is, what are you going to do with this? If you're not ready for this conversation, that's okay. But it's going to happen. And when it does, be prepared to deal with reality, because it won't wait for you. It's going to find you. And then you will have to face it. Do you know what's the hardest part? It's not hearing what he's going to tell you, but dealing with what it will provoke inside you. Because when the truth arrives, it doesn't ask for permission. It comes in, upends everything, and leaves you face to face with parts of yourself that you may not have wanted to see. It's uncomfortable, I know. But it is in that discomfort that something changes. Either you grow or you hide. There's no middle ground. And now you need to decide. Are you going to face this conversation as a problem or as a chance? Because what he's going to say won't just change your relationship. It will affect your choices, your perceptions, the way you see things around you. This is not just another ordinary conversation. It's something that can transform you, but only if you let it. And that's something no one can do for you. Are you ready not to react automatically? Because that's what will make the difference. When the words come, it will be easy to feel anger, rejection, or even a certain relief, but will you be able to go beyond that? Will you have the courage to listen attentively, without judging, without wanting to rush the moment? Because what's being presented here is a gesture of trust. He isn't coming to you lightly, he's coming vulnerable, and that demands respect. But pay attention, this doesn't mean you have to accept everything. It doesn't mean you can't take a stand or protect yourself. This isn't a conversation where you're obligated to agree or yield. What you need is to listen clearly, then decide how to move forward. Don't make decisions in the heat of the moment. Give yourself the right to process. You owe that to yourself. And look, I need to tell you this clearly. After he says what he has to say, things may never be the same, but maybe that's exactly what you need. You can't build anything solid on silences or half-truths. This is the chance to see everything as it really is, without masks, without layers. Is it painful? Yes, it can be. But it's also liberating, because deep down, the truth sets you free, even when it hurts. So be honest with yourself. Are you ready to face the consequences of this conversation? Because it will bring choices. Choices that could change the course of what you're living now. And if you don't feel ready, it's time to prepare yourself. There's no point in running away. This is going to happen. And what you do with it will shape not only your relationship with him, but also the relationship you have with yourself. I know it's heavy, but you need to understand that no one reaches this point of opening their heart without reason. If he is coming to you, it's because this truth is too big to carry alone. And you are the person he chose to share it with. So ask yourself, why you? What is there between you two that made him trust you so much for this moment? There might be something in this that you haven't realized yet. And after everything is said, don't forget, you have the power to decide. It is not him who will determine what happens after this conversation. It's you. Because even though he is bringing his truth, how it fits into your life depends entirely on you. And this responsibility is both a burden and an opportunity. You can choose to react, pull away, come closer, forgive, or move on. But what you can't do is pretend nothing happened. I'll tell you one more thing. This conversation, as difficult as it may seem now, is a gift. No, it's not a pretty gift wrapped in shiny paper. It's a gift that comes with edges, challenges, and discomfort. But that's exactly what makes it so important. Because only the truth has the power to take us out of the ordinary, to force us to grow, to make us face life head-on. And what will come out of this conversation depends on you. You can use it as a catalyst, something that pushes you forward, or you can let it paralyze you, trapping you in resentments and fears. But for that, you need to be willing to step out of your comfort zone. And that, no one can do for you. Now ask yourself, are you ready to listen without interrupting? To embrace without accepting everything? To let his words touch something inside you that might have been dormant for a long time? Because this conversation is not just about him. It's about both of you, and deep down it's about you. If you have come this far, you must have realized that this is not just any conversation. It's that defining moment that sets paths, that takes you out of place and forces you to see what you often prefer to ignore. The question is, what are you willing to face? Because hearing the truth is just the beginning. What comes next is the hardest part, dealing with it. There's no point in pretending it won't affect you, it will. There's no escaping that. What he is going to say might confirm something you already suspected, or it might be completely unexpected, a twist that leaves you groundless. Whatever the case, you need to be prepared for two things, to feel and to act. To feel everything that comes, the anger, the sadness, the surprise, the relief, without feeling ashamed of it, and then, with a clearer mind, decide what to do. Because ignoring, this time, is not an option. And you know what? Maybe you don't even realize how much this conversation is about you, because we have this tendency to look at the other person, to point fingers, to question their actions without realizing that many times what bothers us the most is the reflection they show us. This truth that he will bring may not just be about him. It may be something that exposes your own weaknesses, your insecurities, or even your failures. Are you ready to face that? To accept that maybe? You also have something to learn from all this. Now listen carefully. What he is bringing is a piece of the story. It's his view, his experience, what he felt, what he carries. This doesn't mean it is the whole truth, nor that you have to accept it without questioning, but it is the starting point. What you do with this part of the story is what will define how all of this ends. You can choose to turn it into something constructive, something that strengthens you, or you can use it as an excuse to pull away, close off, or even attack. The choice is yours, it always has been. But don't confuse choice with control. You don't have control over what he is going to say. You don't have control over the feelings it will awaken in you. The control you have is over how you will react, over what you will do with what is placed in front of you. And this, I guarantee you, makes all the difference. This conversation might be the beginning of something new, something you didn't even know you needed, but which suddenly makes everything seem clearer. Or it could be the closing of a cycle, a farewell, a necessary closure for you to move forward. And even though it might seem scary, none of these paths is wrong. What is wrong is staying stuck, trapped in a place where neither you nor he can grow. And here's another important thing. He is also taking a risk. Don't think that opening his heart in this way is easy. It isn't. He might be afraid of your reaction, of what you will think, of what will happen next. But he chose to do this because, in some way, he believes that you deserve this truth. He is placing something important in your hands, something he probably wouldn't trust anyone else with. Don't underestimate the weight of this, so when the conversation begins, pay attention. Not just to his words, but to what he isn't saying, to the way he looks, to the silences, to the pauses. Sometimes what matters most isn't what's spoken, but what's felt. And if you are truly present, you will notice this. After everything is said, it will be your turn to process, to decide, to speak. And when that moment comes, be honest. Don't say what you think he wants to hear. Don't try to please or soften the situation. Be truthful, because his truth deserves your truth, and only then will you both come out of this conversation stronger. But remember, this is not about winning or losing. It's not about who is right or wrong. It's about connection, about understanding what exists between you and deciding if it is something worth fighting for, building, rescuing, or perhaps it is something that needs to be left behind. And that's okay. Not every truth is meant to be continued. Some are meant to set you free. In the end, what remains is what you do with it. And you need to be prepared to deal with the consequences of your choices. They will define what comes next, not just for both of you, but for yourself. Because every decision you make reflects the kind of person you are becoming. And this conversation will be one of those significant decisions. So, when he looks you in the eyes and starts to speak, take a deep breath. Listen. Feel. But above all, be present. Don't run away. Don't change the subject. Don't hide. Because what is being laid out here is bigger than the two of you. It's a chance to change, to grow, to move forward, together or apart. The time has come, the time to look ahead and decide how you will act in light of what you just heard. There's no turning back, no unsaying what has been said, and perhaps that is the hardest part. But it is also what makes this moment so important, because it marks the beginning of something new, something that can transform you, even if it means stepping out of your comfort zone. When he started to speak, you probably felt a whirlwind of emotions. Maybe you were surprised, maybe you felt uncomfortable or even relieved. Whatever the feeling that emerged, it is valid. Do not fight against it, but also do not let it dominate you. Feel what needs to be felt, but keep the focus on what really matters, how you are going to use this truth to make conscious decisions that will lead you to a better place. I know it is easy to get lost in automatic reactions. Becoming defensive, wanting to justify or even distancing yourself might seem like the simplest way out. But will that take you where you really want to be? Think carefully. What is being presented to you now is not just a conversation. It's an opportunity, a chance to reevaluate, adjust, and grow. Do not waste it. And do not forget, this is not just about what he brought to you. It is also about what you are going to do with this truth. You have the power to transform this into something constructive or to let it paralyze you. The choice is yours, but it is a choice that needs to be made carefully, with respect, both for him and for yourself. If you feel that you need time to process, that's okay. No one said you need to have all the answers immediately. Allow yourself to reflect, to understand what all this means to you, and only then make a decision. But when you do, be honest. Be truthful with him, but most of all with yourself. Because in the end, it is your truth that will define the course of this story. And now I want to invite you to go further. Don't let this conversation end here. I want to know what you think, what you feel about all this. Have you ever gone through something similar? Have you had to deal with a difficult truth? How did it impact you? Write in the comments. Let's turn this exchange into something even bigger. Your experience can help others see their own truths differently. If this message touched something inside you, be sure to show it. Leave your like. It's a simple but powerful way to support this work, to bring this reflection to more people who, just like you, may need to hear this right now. Every gesture counts, every interaction makes a difference, and together we can create a space where the truth has a voice and reaches those who need it most. And if you're not yet part of this community, subscribe to the channel right now. Don't wait. Here, we talk about what matters, about what really transforms, about the truths that change lives. It's more than a place to listen. It's a place to participate, to share, to grow together. Don't miss this opportunity to continue this journey by my side. I want you to think about the impact each truth can have, how they shape us, how they make us see things that once seemed invisible. This conversation is not just about the other. It's about you, about us, about what connects us as human beings. So be a part of this. Leave your comment, share your ideas, tell your story. Because here, every voice matters. And last but not least, take this reflection further. After everything is said, after its words echo inside you, ask yourself, how can I use this to be better, to do better, to build something that truly matters? The answer to that question is within you. And I'm here ready to accompany you on that path. Now it's your turn. The next step is yours. I'll see you in the comments. Let's continue this conversation together.